Let's move on to something maybe a little easier, but causes a lot of confusion. On page 7 is this mixed use property where you've got a dwelling and something else in one building. So imagine on the top left there, you see there's a for sale sign, and there's apartments above, and down below is the ultimate place for you to open up a restaurant. And you come in and you see me and you say, Dave, I want to buy this building. I say, what for? You say, I want to open a restaurant. Well, we've got a 50-50 square footage. 50% is residential, 50% is non-residential. What do you do with that? Well, if we look at page 7, it says there that the lender needs to make a decision. They need to put it in the dwelling bucket or the non-dwelling bucket. And it says you can use any reasonable standard to determine the primary purpose of that property. That's what you're after. What's the primary purpose? Now, there's no criteria, but borrower's intent to me would be a good one to use. Square footage you might use, income per square foot, things like that. Those are all things to consider. Nobody said you have to go with square footage, though. It's, to me, borrower's intent. You said you wanted to buy that building to open up a restaurant. I would call that then a non-dwelling. And I'm going to classify that place as a non-dwelling for HMDA. We're going to get into this later, but if that borrower, you came back later and wanted to refinance that, I would say, well, no, that's not a dwelling. And so it's not a dwelling tomorrow. It wasn't a dwelling today. We don't have to worry about HMDA. Let's go to the top right picture. You'll see there's 2 floors of apartments, 1 floor of, commercial condo type of thing. Maybe there's a Starbucks and a pharmacy and whatever. Does that 2 floors make it then residential? The answer again, I'd say no. What's the primary purpose? Maybe we look at income again, or we look at the borrower's intent. It depends. It might be. You have to classify it as primary purpose. The last picture on the bottom there gets into this 3 stories of pretty nice, let's just say those are all residential condominiums. Bottom floor, there's a Starbucks, and maybe your bank has a lobby, but I'd have a tough time probably saying that's not a dwelling because it's 3/4 now. But again, that's one criteria. So you decide what you think the primary purpose is, and then explain it. This is a dwelling because. This is not a dwelling because. Pick up your pens. Page 7, write down the word slam the door. I mean that. Slam the door. Don't leave this open for debate. Say, we're not really sure, so we just didn't do HMDA, or we weren't really sure, so we decided to do HMDA. When in doubt, we're just going to overkill. No, don't do that. Make sure that you can justify, that you explain this is why, because otherwise some examiner is going to pick that up and they're going to disagree with you, and they might say, we disagree and here's why. And if you don't have your justification, it's pretty tough.